Hi, everyone. We are here with another episode out of Shad Helmstetter's book, The Power of Neuroplasticity. And today we are going to read chapter 10. And chapter 10 is all about choices, taking control over your programs. When you're changing your brain, choose thoughtfully what you want your brain to record. The subject of choices and how we make them is so important that I wrote an entire book entitled Choices on the subject. So I highly recommend that you also figure out how to get your hands on that book, because that's going to be extremely interesting. The reason choices are so important is that without making clear choices, you leave your brain to its own meanderings. And those are determined by your old programs or by the random influences of whatever happens to be taking place in your life at the moment. In either case, that's not always the best course to follow. It makes sense that if you want to set up healthy neural pathways for your brain to follow, since your thoughts and actions play a major role in the programs your brain is creating, you should make choices that create the right programs. That includes both the choices that you think about and the choices you don't. Your choices affect your programs, and your programs affect your choices. Each choice you make gets recorded in your brain, and if you repeat that same choice often enough, it will actually form its own set of neural pathways and connections in your brain. That's how habits are formed. But every choice you make is first influenced by the programs you already have. And here is how it works. This is so important, you guys. This is if you hear this for the first time, it's going to be mind-blowing. But most of you that are watching my videos, they already know what is going to follow. But either way, it's always good to hear it again. There are two kinds of choices. We make choices every day. All of them fit into one or two of the two categories: conscious choices and unconscious choices. Let's first talk about the conscious choices. Conscious choices are the ones you think about while you're making them. Your major life choices you think about a lot. Choices like where you go to school, what career path you're to follow, who to marry, where to live, where to buy a home, or what kind of car to buy. Those kind of choices get a lot of your attention because they require a commitment. So you think about them, you study them, and you seldom make them quickly. Those are conscious choices, and you're aware of every one of them you make. A step down from the major life choices, but still conscious choices, are the kind of choices that deal with what you do during the normal course of a day. You consciously think about everything from what you're going to do Saturday night to when to wash the car and what to have for dinner. None of these are life-changing events, but you consciously think about them enough to make an aware decision about them. What those and hundreds of other greater or lesser choices you make in the day have in common is that in each case, if even for a moment, you consciously think about the choice you're making, and you're aware that you thought about it. Then you have the second category, the unconscious thoughts, the unconscious choices. Just as important, or often more important, than our conscious choices are the unconscious ones we make. And we make hundreds of them a day. These smaller choices are vitally important because they make up the countless small steps we take that lead us either towards the objective or away from it. And it's so important. We don't understand. Like, we think so many times thoughts that get us further from our goals instead of closer. This is where the silent controller, which we talked about earlier, plays an important role. Research has shown that when we are making each minor choice, our brain activity indicates which choice we're going to make as such as several seconds before we come to the conscious conclusion ourselves. That means that the neural pathways in your brain, your programs, know the results of your choice before you do. I underlined that part in the book. You see that? I underlined it. You know why? Because I was amazed when I read that. Whatever we are deciding, our choices, our consciousness already knew that before us. Isn't that intriguing? I think it is. Any decision you make that you don't think about, making, is being made for you by your brain, which silently consults with the thousands of pre-programmed neural networks you have stored there. So don't think for 1 second that whatever comes to your mind, that is something new. It is your brain, your mind goes into the data bank, and it's going to find everything that you know or experience about the topic, and boom, something is going to be spit out. It's almost like ChatGPT. Any decision you make that you don't think about making is being made for you by your brain, which silently consults the thousands of pre-programmed neural networks you have stored there. Unless you consciously override it, whatever those neural networks tell your brain to do, it will follow. Before you're even aware of it, your neural network have voted. Your brain has made the choice, and you act on it. What's troubling about this is that it means your choices are being made by program pathways that could be the wrong programs and often are. I've written previously that as much as 77 of all our programs are false, counterproductive, harmful, and work against us. 77% works against you. I thought that was mind-blowing. This means that for the average individual, 3/4 of the programs doing the voting on the unconscious choices the person's brain is making each day are negative programs that vote for the wrong choices. Who's doing the choosing for you? Every day, in every choice you make, conscious or unconscious, your programs are voting for what to do next. The program points out, if you allow the wrong program to do your choosing for you, you can't get the right results. The value of being mindful of your smallest choices is that by doing so, you take the control over each of them. You take the control over each of them away from the unthinking, silent controller that could otherwise sabotage you. Something makes the choice for you in everything you do. From how often you smile in a day, to whether you arrive at an appointment on time, or whether you'll needlessly upset over a phone call that didn't make any difference anyway. One of the goals of this book is to help you take back the control of all your choices from any misdirecting programs that should never have been there in the first place. The programs that all too often make your choices for you without stopping to ask you what you think. And what you really think, is what counts most. So this is such an important realization that in fact, all the thoughts that are coming, that they are created from all the information that you have stored. And so the realization that you have to really become aware of what you're thinking, because otherwise, how can you have the right results, is so crucial. So this was the end of chapter 10. And then next time we're going to do chapter 11, and we're going to talk about intention and setting a goal. So have a wonderful time, you guys, and see you guys soon.